بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته, and welcome to another podcast live on Saturday night with myself, your host Waseem Ahmed, and of course we have with us as always our dear guest Shaykh Imran Muhammad. How are you, Sayyidi? How is everything? Assalamu alaikum.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا وسهلا يا أخ العزيز يا مولاي. أخ العزيز, I am personally fine, I'm good بإذن, but today's topic of choice is a topic of immense reflection, of immense sadness, a point of memorial, really, a sense of going back into our history and remembering some very crucial and essential and important souls, inshallah ta'ala. So today's topic is full of sorrow, right? And full of loss, Akhil Aziz. But inshallah ta'ala, as we progress bi'isnillah, and we will try to share our thoughts and reflections and maybe a little bit about what had taken place and why it is significant to ourselves and our listeners, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakallah.
Yeah, Jazakallah khair. So welcome, dear viewers. As always, we pick different topics for you, what you suggest, some of the relevant issues of today. And it's a sad day, like Shaykh Imran said. Today is the 11th of July, coming to the end of the day here in the UK. And on this day, 25 years ago, something very atrocious, very saddening, and a blemish on history, a black dot on our history as human beings, happened in Bosnia. The title there is Remembering Srebrenica, and not just there, it was happening around the ex-Yugoslavian state, where certain people were being harmed, were being persecuted. It's hard to say these words and it's hard to talk about this, but it's something we need to discuss. Even the people who've been through this and survived this, I've been reading some of their experiences and their sharing, and it's very hard for them to say those things and to recollect them. One of the ladies was saying how she doesn't know how she survived. She finds it hard to remember that part of her life, but she said we have to share, because this is how we're going to remove such illnesses, such dark things in our history and our life. It's very important. So this is the topic for today. The topic for today is genocide, is how hatred is developed, how we come to hate others for no good reason. It's something that we are brainwashed into somewhat. And it's not just one incident. There are several incidents in our history that we could look at. But today, being the 11th of July, we're remembering 25 years on those souls that were martyred and all those who were affected and touched by this calamity that befell, this crime that took place in Srebrenica and surrounding areas. So with that, now our topic. Thank you for joining us. Like always, please comment, please ask questions, because there are serious things we're going to be discussing today. Please do join in. So, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you all, especially Sajjad. Sheikh, let's make a start on this topic, and let's find a point to introduce everything so all our viewers can understand. It's very important to understand it's not just lives were lost. It's very important to explain to people the background behind this whole event, and also the event itself, and how to understand exactly what happened. So where would we make a start?
Bismillah wa salatu ala Habib Muhammad Rasulullah alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Sayyidina Habib Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa barik sallim. فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. من قتل نفسا بغير نفس أو فساد في الأرض فكأنما قتل الناس جميعا. صدق الله مولانا العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الأمين الرؤوف الرحيم. My beloveds, with the grace of God Almighty, alhamdulillah, wa salatu ala Habib Muhammad Rasulullah alayhi salatu wassalam. Maulaya, today is genuinely a day of immense sadness. As you can see, I'm sitting, and I hope you can see this, what's behind me, in one of those gardens which remembers those lost souls that were lost on this particular day. Everybody, I want to start with a part of a statement which was made when this particular atrocity took place and afterwards within the courts of Yugoslavia, the International Court, a criminal tribunal took place to clearly state that this is a genocide that took place upon the area of Europe. And this part of the statement is, these are truly scenes from hell, written on the darkest pages of human history. These words were said by the presiding judge, Fuad Riyad, International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia. My beloved listeners, our brothers and sisters, our elders and youngsters who are listening at this moment in time on the Saturday night program, Alhamdulillah, with Maulaya. In 1989, when Yugoslavia was broken up into pieces, there was a literal land grab. What happened was that at that particular time, this whole area was broken into 5 different areas. Naturally, people wanted the land, the resources of this particular area. It broke out of the USSR, the Soviet Union. And under Soviet Union, of course, we still remember. And historically, when you look into this, you find out it was a regime of totalitarianism. Jabr, where no one had right. Religion, faith, these type of philosophies were rejected, right? Suddenly, people are given this particular freedom, and people start to, call themselves by the names of the ancestors, start to recognize themselves part of the ancestry traditions. And in the case of these people in Bosnia, they started to see their history, find out, and they start to come out as Muslims. The Osmans, the Yusuf, etc., etc. These beautiful names came out of this particular land. But then, of course, there were also those who were coming out of this atrocity, Maulaya.
Yeah.
They were coming out of this atrocity as Christians. Because, of course, there was a sense of oppression and etc. for them as well. But then there was a clash. And, of course, we're talking about land, we're talking about resources, we're talking about... And a very horrific event took place. This one particular event we talk about. But the truth of the matter is, around the whole area of Yugoslavia, in different areas, different murders took place. Genocides took place. But this is one of the biggest. 50 years after the world had said, Maulaya, never again. To the horrors of Holocaust, genocide took place on the European soil.
50 years, you're referring to the World War II?
From World War II onwards, yeah. So the name Srebrenica, Maulaya, has become synonymous with these dark days of July, from the 11th of July till the 20th of July. The slaughter, the murder of thousands of men and boys, systematically murdered, slaughtered, and buried in mass graves. Stripped away from their mothers, stripped away from their daughters, stripped away from their wives and their
And even till today, you don't have a record of everyone. Not everyone has body or has been found. They're still searching for.
They're still searching for it.
A video from a man. He survived. He survived the whole event, and he goes out into the woods, into the forest to find. He's found several bones and teeth and body parts, and he said he said, this is more beloved to me than the whole world, just to find the body parts of those that have passed away, in order to give them some kind of respect and closure to the families that they were part of this, and we can move on.
No, Maulana, let me share this with you. This is something that is not recognized by people who are many times the perpetrators of these type of activities. They say, forget about it. We don't. Why? If you're going to talk about it, right? That's going to create problems.
Yeah.
But the thing is, those that are the victims, those are the ones whose loved ones were taken away from them. And let me share this with you, Maulaya. The victims were predominantly Muslims.
Yeah.
They were selected for death on the basis of this particular identity. Maula, if you look at these people, they're blue-eyed, white-skinned, blonde-haired individuals. They are Europeans, the typical identity of a European person. But what was the difference? La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. That's what it was. Now, I'm not saying this from my perspective. Now, I'm not just saying this as a, flippant statement. But this was the observation that was made and what came out of the tribunal itself, Maulaya.
Yeah.
Look, throughout all of Srebrenica, all right, no doubt there have been mass killings.
Yeah.
Okay, in the Balkans. There's no doubt about that. Especially during this particular time. It's shocking the number of people that were murdered. But this atrocity was the final act in which broader genocidal strategy. Now, this one needs to be understood. That this was not overnight. That they woke up one day and they said, we hate these people and we want to murder them. It wasn't like that.
So what happened, Sheikh? Let's help our viewers understand how you can get from living together, being in one community. It apparently seems as though we're all good, everyone's getting on, but then over a long period of time, over a gradual stages, it gets to a case where one person, neighbor, is willing to murder, rape, and just destroy and commit these atrocities on his fellow neighbor because of this difference. In this case, it was, you're a Muslim, I'm not a Muslim, we need to get rid of you. Where does that come from? How does that build? What's the step?
Mullah, Allah give you barakah for asking this question. Allah give you strength, inshallah ta'ala. It's a very crucial question. No one is born as a bigot. No one is born as an Islamophobe. No one is born as a hate monger. No one is born as a genocidal maniac. No one is born as a murderer, right? There is a process. Wallahi, there's a process.
Yeah.
Look, genocide, like we said, does not, like you have mentioned, happen overnight. It begins when hatred and intolerance are left unchallenged or are manipulated for political gain. That's when genocide takes place. Now, what you need to understand is the process of genocide is a long one. Let me share something with you. He's part of a gentleman by the name of Dr. Gregory Haight Stanton. Now, he created 10 stages of genocide. The process, how people become hate mongers, target people, and how they systematically start killing their own fellow brethren, citizens, countrymen, and women. That's how they start. So I want to share some of that with you, inshallah, because I think for our listeners, this is important. And maybe all of us can, to a certain extent, relate to this, right? Ourselves as well. Yeah. Because there are many things that we as individuals are going through ourselves, right? We talk about our own experiences at this moment in time. What is happening in Britain at this moment in time? Look, because of this Black Lives Matters.
Black Lives Matter.
These people who are screaming and shouting, there's a reason why they're screaming and shouting.
Yeah. It's not an overnight thing.
It's not.
A long drawn out process.
There has been a systematic subjugation, demonization, discrimination, oppression that has taken place. So the first, let me share this with you. According to
before you start, Sheikh, just want to mention one thing to our viewers and to those tuning in about what you're going to say, and the kind of one of the goals really of today's podcast as well. First of all, is to know this, right? To remember what happened in Srebrenica and other parts of the world, and especially in Greater Serbia, as it's known, or ex-Yugoslavia, and then to learn from this. So we want people to learn. We want to learn, understand how this has now affected people. Education is important. But the third thing we want to do, Sheikh, and I think is very important, is we've all got to make an effort to change. Right now, we can see the Black Lives Matter example. People are being educated, and many people are saying this. You know, the people that probably don't realize they could help are now saying, "Oh, I understand. I realize what's going on. I didn't know this. You know what? I pledge. I want to get involved. I want to now help because I didn't see it." You know, sometimes we have these curtains in front of us. We're blinded by a lack of education. So hopefully, in what we discussed today, what you mentioned, Sheikh, in these points. Education liberates, it empowers. So we hope that everyone listening today, not just this topic though, if this is a primary concern for today and our topic, but like he said, it could be applied to Black Lives Matters, it could be applied to Islamophobia, which I think is going to be linked to somewhat today. It could apply to gender issues and how we discriminate with other genders and so forth, right? And so it's important we all learn from today and we all make an intention to say, right, if I can do something, if I can be positive and help in some way with this issue, with the related issue in my community, there's something going on, then we need to make that intention and pledge to get involved as well. Barakallah feek. So Bismillah, Shaykh, can we start going through these various stages you mentioned?
So the first stage, what has been clearly stated, especially these 10 stages were looked into, were created, were discussed, and then brought into this systematic way of looking at how people get to a place of extermination, annihilation, and genocide. Right now, this came out of the Holocaust. You know, the atrocity that took place in Germany against our brethren, the Jewish community, the Jewish people, right? The killing, the murder of 6 million individuals, men, women, children, elderly, youngsters, whoever they were, right? And all because of what? They are from the Jewish tradition. Right? They were seen as the other. Now, the first step, and this is where, as society, as community, we need to become much more aware of ourselves. The first step is called classification. The first stage is called classification. People are divided into us and them. Us and them. Because create a divide. So what happens is, what tends to happen in society, in community, that people play on stereotypes, right? So you know that we had this slogan, okay, Na'uz Billah, which is a very difficult thing to say, but this is what came out: stereotypes. You know, creating stereotypes. There's a slung around that Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Mubarak sallim. All Muslims are not terrorists, but all terrorists are Muslims.
Ya Latif, Ya Latif.
Right? Now, this was used in many platforms, right? They go, 1 minute. You've just said, no doubt, that all Muslims are not terrorists, but then you said all terrorists are Muslims. But terrorism has no faith or no religion. If we start picking on this, what about the atrocities that have taken place by the far right, for example? Right? Or by those individuals who might not affiliate to Christianity, but they use the symbolisms of Christianity. They might not, affiliate with Judaism, but they use the symbolisms of Judaism. Right? They might not affiliate to Hinduism, but they use the symbolism of Hinduism. Right? Now,
one rule for one people and another rule for others.
You cannot. But the thing is, in society and community, we play on this. So the first step, the first stage, Maulaya, is about classification. Creating an environment of us and them. They are black, we are white. They are brown, we are black. Right? They are Asians and we are Africans. Okay? And then within ourselves as well, you know, this idea of classification, what do? All right, and then we create hate in it. Like, well, this guy is Raja, this guy is Jat, this guy is Chaudhry.
Yeah.
You know, at one time,
nationalism, the larger scale, nationalism. And what happened in Yugoslavia was nationalism.
That's
what
exactly
happens now in certain countries in Africa is nationalism. Is India, Pakistan, nationalism. You know, this is what's going on.
So the classification, Maulaya, is the first step. An environment is created where people start seeing other human beings, other people as in the whole realm of us and them. Then the next stage is called symbolization. Now, symbolization, Maulaya, this is a visual manifestation of hatred, right? Because some people, they look exactly the same. They may have, blue eyes. They may have white skin. They may have blonde hair. Okay. So what they wanted to do, they wanted to create symbols, right? So they can stand out. They can be stamped out. Okay. Now, within the context of what the Nazis did to the Jews was exactly this. They made nearly all of the Jewish community, or those people who were in certain ghettos in Germany, in Jewish ghettos, wear a yellow badge, a yellow David star city.
Yeah.
So they can tell, oh, he's a Jew. Right?
Symbolization.
So symbolization. So what they were doing is creating an environment, because slowly this is creating segregation. But this process was of symbolization.
That can be used in a good way in certain things which are everyday things, but to create as a divide where you play down that label, so that symbol. So this symbol means you're lesser than everyone else. That's the danger.
That's the danger, because what you're doing at the same time is, because you've already created an environment of classification, right? It's us and them. We are different to them. They do things differently. They speak differently. Their language is different to us. Their religion is different to us. Their philosophy is different to us, etc., etc. So you've established that. Then what you start doing is that okay, fine. Now we've established that. Now people need to have a visual way of creating difference, of seeing them out. They can stand out. All right. So what did you do? Them are the people. They wear clothes like this. They wear their beards like this. They wear their hijabs like this. Wear niqabs. They do this. They do this. So there is a process of symbolization, right? Which is created in society and community. Okay. And what the thing is, the important thing is here is it is imposed. Look, if I choose to wear a hat and a jubba and a dari, and if a lady wants to wear a hijab or a niqab, or you understand, a man who wants to a gentleman who wants to wear a kippah, in the Jewish tradition, etc. If a Christian gentleman wants to wear a cross, etc. When you want to do it yourself, that's your expression of your identity, right? But when it is imposed on you, this is one of the stages of process going towards genocide. Then, Maulana, there's something called discrimination. And let me be clear. None of these are linear, in the sense they can be at different time, different places. But what they have classified is, in the society where genocide takes place, is not an overnight thing. It's a process. It is a process of creating an environment where you start to create discrimination and hate into the hearts of people. Where they start hating their own neighbors. In Gujarat, in India, right? Where the atrocity that took place in Gujarat a number of years ago, that was a process. Their own neighbors, people that they used to sit with, they have ate for generations with. And what did they do? They dragged them out of their homes, dragged the women out, astaghfirullah, raped, murdered, pillaged, stole. And these are probably those people from whose mothers they had eaten food from their hands. Now, discrimination, people equate. Now, this is important to understand. People begin to face systematic discrimination. How does that happen? Because what discrimination does, Akhil Aziz, is the dominant people, the dominant group, whichever it is the majority, you may say, starts to deny civil rights or even citizenship to identify groups. Now, for example, we had the Allahumma salli wa sallam ala Sayyidina Muhammad barik sallim, in the case of within the Jewish community within Germany, right? They could not buy and sell in commerce. They were restricted in having certain type of shops. They were restricted in engaging in certain type of areas, going to certain type of areas, right? This started to take place. Now, their basic liberties, all right, or their civil rights were removed from them. It made it much more harder, right, for them to engage in mainstream society. It made it much more harder.
So they become almost a secondary citizen.
They do. And when that happens, they become more restrictive, more limited.
Yeah.
They start feeling discriminated against. Right now, for example, there was an exercise that was taking place, and it was talked about on BBC, where two individuals with same qualification, same paperwork, right, had submitted a number of applications for different jobs, same amount of jobs.
Okay.
But one's name was Islamic sounding, Arab sounding, and the other individual's name was more European or English sounding. Now, the person who was European sounding or English, the interview or the companies had come back to that person twice as more than the other individual whose name was Arabic or Arabic sounding. Understand?
Yeah.
Now, what needs to be understood is, what was this based on? If it was only on paper, the qualifications, right, the level of standard of learning and etc. was equal, exactly the same. The only difference was the name. They had not even seen the face, right? So that creates an environment of discrimination, and people start feeling marginalized, start feeling a place of claustrophobia. We can't breathe, we can't move, we can't engage, right, within larger society.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we also had the problem of, the Windrush community, the Windrush people who came through the Windrush, in early days, people who came from South America, the West Indies.
Yeah.
Right?
The
Now,
Caribbean,
this whole Windrush scandal, Molaya, is based upon this idea of discrimination.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I was just reading about that the other day.
Yes.
How they're still now issuing deportation papers.
Deportation. What exactly?
And the people have been born here, lived here, everything, and then they've got no connection to any of that world. They haven't got nobody there even, and they're somehow supposed to leave and go to the middle of nowhere. That they have got no. Based on what? Based on the fact that they are a different breed, or almost like a different group of people.
Or color. So discrimination on the basis discrimination on the base of the skin color.
Yeah.
Now, what has come out is that historically, when they legalized or when they permitted people from these lands, from India, for example, and especially from the West Indies and from South America, when they started to come within the judicial structure, they created laws, rules, and regulations which limited them to progress. They created limitations within that structure. Now, this has come out in the last number of years. People who are doing research, people who are historians, people who themselves, whose heritage, right, is Black, Asian, minority, ethnic, whatever it is. Now they are learned people. They are people of knowledge and understanding. They've gone out and they started to do research. Go, 1 minute. Why has this taken place? Why are our forefathers, now who have lived here for 50, 60 years, now being asked to pack their bags and get out of this country because you don't have paperwork? And it's all based upon discrimination. The third stage, Maulaya, of genocide.
Okay, what's the next one?
Now, the next one, Maulana, is a very, very powerful one. The next one is called dehumanization. In other words, seeing people as subhuman. Now, when we look into the whole story around, the whole discussion around colonialism, imperialism, what you find in the basis of these particular nations who had made a conscious decision to go to other people's lands for land, money, wealth, power, whatever it was, but the way to justify and to satisfy themselves, they had to somehow come to an understanding that they were superior than the people that they were dominating. Okay, so what happens is, through the process of dehumanization, we start justifying our action towards others. Now, what had happened was, Maulaya, what needs to be understood is that those people who are perceived as different. So, for example, the Aborigines of Australia. Till, let me share this with you, Mola, till the 60s and 70s.
1960s, 1970s.
Yeah, till the 60s and 1970s, they were seen as what? Fodder.
Wow.
As
subhuman.
Subhuman, as vegetation and animals. They were not even seen as human.
They were recognized as human beings.
As even humans. They were seen as this, as even equal to plants or equal to animals. And people don't know this. In Australia, in America, in Europe, in different places of Europe, people, and especially in Britain, places were created where individuals were bought who were from, Central Africa or other parts of the world, who was different in color, for example, complexion, and they were put into places which we will call them zoos. There are people
concentration camps.
Yeah, camps. But in the case, they were never called concentration camps. They were seen as, this is, look at this subhuman. Look at this early stage.
Let's go and visit this person. Yeah. It's a show.
Yeah, look at the link. We are of a superior race, right? Of a superior position, and these individuals that we have found, some tribe in Africa or some tribe in Australia or in South America or Central America of the natives, what they've done is grab them, brought them here, and to go at them, see them. Oh, look at that, subhuman. Look at that. Oh, that is the early stages of humanity. Now, this Maulaya made it so bad that human beings who had conscience, who have feelings, who have pain, who have families, who has everything, they was known as vermin. They were called different diseases, right? Their human rights and dignity was taken away from them, right? And let me share this with you. In Rwanda, when the conflict between the Hutus and the Tutsis were referred as cockroaches. The Nazis referred to the Jews as vermin. And if I may say, recently, within our times, Maulaya, people have called those who came from Syria as swarms.
Yeah, that's it.
Right? Who are going to swamp the likes of Europe. This is a process. This is calling people to murder, to discriminate against, because you are justifying. Because if you remove humanity from them, what do you think we can do? Let me share this with you, Mullah. In the whole area of radicalization and extremism, and when people talk about people who hurt and harm, people who hurt and harm other human beings, one of the ways they justify the killing of normal people is by seeing them as subhuman. If you sue the other human being less than you, guess what you can do to them? Whatever you want.
Whatever you want. Yeah.
You won't feel remorse. You won't feel hurt. You won't feel pain. This is the reality. Then from here, Maulana, you have the next stage, which is the stage of organization. But you need to understand, when genocide takes place, it's not a certain sector of society. It's not only a certain group of people, but governments, political structures, political systems, they start to justify legally, politically, creating laws, right? Governances, creating groups, empowering police, right? To do certain type of injustices against certain groups within society and community. So the government creates a special group, police or militia, military, to enforce the policies. Now in America, one of the reasons why we're talking about Black Lives Matters, right, is state. This is the state. Let me clarify, not all. We will never say all are like this, maybe from the police force and etc. But what needs to be said is the amount of murders that have taken place, all right, especially the atrocity that's taken place towards people who are from darker or black complexion at the hands of police, which are state funded, which are supported by the government.
So the government creates this They are
Yeah.
against the leadership. They're against our best values. They're
Whatever
a
it is.
danger. They're parasites. They're harmful. This organizational, systematic,
Yes.
attack. And
Yes.
in the minds of people, what happens? We need to eliminate these people.
You need to eliminate these
keep them
people.
out of their
Yeah. You need to
way.
put them into
They're
prison.
a danger.
They're a danger.
I was actually one of the things I just want to mention here. I read. So this is what I read. Allah Alam. In Spain, the Inquisition and
Oh,
how they
yes.
forced so many people to be Christian from the Jews. They obviously, as you said, many people come out Muslims still, but so many people have come out Christians, and the many people who were previously Jewish or Muslim, they actually became Christians, right, to save their lives, or the forced attempt. So the people, this may be even connected to the Holocaust. I don't know. I was reading about this. The Christians thought, wait 1 minute, if these people become good Christians, they can actually become the Pope. They can actually become leaders in the church. We've got to keep them less. We've got to, so although they've joined us now, although they've changed and they've accepted that, they're still less than us because of their background, because of who they were and who they are. And this probably led to the discrimination against Jews and Muslims in Europe for many centuries afterwards as well. So I wanted to point out that sometimes it's this whole background that comes with it as well.
Of course. And then, Maulaya, what needs to be understood is, this is where people become more empowered. Feel empowered. Like, for example, in recently what's happened in America, and because of the president of America, the statements that he uses, decisive, of creating environment of creating an environment of them and us, right? Now his and statements of polarization. That's what he's doing. Now, what that does is that empowers those who are bigots, those who are racist, those people who have certain type of very extreme views and ideas. They go, 1 minute, our views are being spoken about. We have much more strength and more power in the way we can remove or subjugate or eradicate individuals. So what happens is there's the next step, which is the 6th step, which is called polarization, Maulaya.
Okay.
Once again, this is at the hands of people in office, people in power. The governments broadcast propaganda to turn the populace against a group. It happened, Maulaya. It happened in nearly every genocide.
So you're talking about actual, propagation or campaigns and indoctrination, media, basically. You're talking about the media involvement
within
the
media, for example, this idea of, it was in America. It just happened that they said, these Muslims, they're pushing halal meat on us. Why are they doing that for? Right?
The Muslim ban, passing laws that isolate and point out people, polarize them. Look, they can't not allowed to the country anymore. Why? They're banned. They're not allowed. They're not good for us.
And the thing is, by doing this, in the minds of the majority community, all right, the common people, the populace itself, it starts to create a movement between them. 1 minute, these people are doing this. How can they do it? They go against our values, right? Our values are this. They're significant to us. They're important to us. They're coming. They're removing this. They're trying to eradicate that. They're trying to turn us away from Britishness or Englishness or Europeanness or whatever it is that we try to adhere to, right?
Yeah.
But it happens from that level. Propaganda. Now, what is propaganda, Maulaya? Propaganda is a tool, is a process where you choose to say certain things and choose not to share the full picture, right? And media, and I always say the media at large, we talk about news corporations, we talk about, online, offline, whatever it is, newspapers, magazines. This is a tool. They're a tool. What matters is the person or the individuals or the ideologies behind these particular tools and how they're used, Maulaya.
Yeah.
We have a general statement, don't we? We say, media is this. Now, what we mean is that this tool is being used by individuals in the false and the wrong way. The same tool could be used for positivity. But positive news doesn't sell, right? Who's gonna talk about this in the last? Forget about. I'm not talking about decades and decades and decades. In the last 3.5-4 months, people who are connected to masajid, people who are from Muslim communities, right? People who are from religious communities, right? They have been going around in their own communities and feeding those that couldn't feed themselves, helping the elderly, helping those who are marginalized, helping those who are
this has been
stuck
very
behind their doors.
widespread.
It's just stuck behind their doors, right? They've been going around
Muslims
giving them
and
food.
non-Muslims, helping everyone.
Everybody. We've had, I'm from a certain part of this country, and here, alhamdulillah, we've had Muslim organizations, right, who have worked with the homeless for the last, I don't know how many decades, but in the last 4.5, 5 months now, because of this COVID, pandemic that's going on. No one talks about this. No one recognizes this. No one mentions this at a particular level, right? Because this is how propaganda works. So now, if propaganda is used to create hate, it creates marginalized statements, a statement of polarization, and etc. Maulaya, what do you get? You get people start feeling, oh my God, something's going. Oh, that person is what I just saw on the TV. This person looks like that. You know what? I need to spy on him. All right, I need to be suspicious about him. Right?
He's Tutsi. He's not. He's a dangerous person. Right?
A dangerous person.
We're moving into some form of action is going to take place now.
He's Bosnian. He's Muslim. Or he's Serbian Christian, or whatever he is.
Jewish.
He's Jewish. Right? Now, all of this is done at that particular level, which is the 6th stage, Maulaya.
Okay.
Then you have something, the 7th stage.
Okay.
Which is preparation. Now, this is that the following number of stages are those stages which are preparing people to commit one of the greatest horrific acts, right, by their own hands. Okay, and towards whom? Their own neighbors, people that they have lived with for centuries. Telling you, for centuries. Okay, so preparation is the official action to remove or relocate people beginning.
Okay. So, just to mention here, I don't like this term, but maybe you can touch on this now. Often the term is used, and I think it's a very bad term, but we can use it as well, but we need to explain it. They call it ethnic cleansing, Shaykh.
Yes.
They get ready for ethnic cleansing.
That's right.
They want to remove terrorism and the harms of these people. So under the guise of some kind of what to them seems a positive thing, the preparation is actually really what you're just saying, one of the most horrible crimes that one could commit. And it's almost like like I said, if we don't do something to them, we don't kill them, they're probably going to kill us. If we don't stop them, they're probably going to do something to us. This has all been now built up in the minds of people. That doesn't happen overnight. You can't say that. If you said that today, people like you're having a laugh. What are you on about? But if you said this for 10 years, if you put all those other pieces of parts of the puzzle together, the discrimination, the symbolization, the dehumanization, what you mentioned, starting from that classification process, then this part becomes quite easy. This part becomes natural, the next step. People fall for it, right?
And then there's a general preparation now. So the preparators themselves, they're planning.
Yeah.
Now there have been people who have been kicked out of the countries. People who have lived. It happened in Spain. Those Muslims and those Jewish communities that were kicked out by Catholic Christians, rulers of Spain, and told to leave a country that they had lived for generations, for over 800 years, Maulaya. All right? Preparation for ethnic cleansing, removal of these people from their community or their society. May that be on color, may that be on religion, may that be on dogma or philosophy, whatever it is, right? But this is the process. Now preparations take place.
Yeah.
Now the thing
is,
you
know what happened? You know what happened then, Sheikh? And this is probably the next stage. I'm not maybe jumping ahead, but they were, a Muslim couldn't. I studied this in history when we did Islamic history. A Muslim couldn't do ghusl on a Friday. A Muslim in Islamic Spain, because they thought if it is ghusl, he's a Muslim, so they used to leave their doors open. And you can't, you have to eat pork. You're forced to eat pork in the Spanish Inquisition or whatever they call it, right? So they were forced to do certain things in their communities to prove their loyalty to the state, to prove their loyalty to the, whatever the other side, or the side they'd made, to be honest, wanted them to do. And if they didn't, then the people would be up in, well, they're not part of us. They're not
part of us. Once again, I'll say it's not linear. It is, this can be mixed match. They can come before and after. It cannot, but these are all, are ingredients
Yes, the
right?
symbolization come in
Poisonous,
heavily at this
exactly,
stage. Yeah.
poisonous
Yep.
ingredients, all right, in creating this whole environment
Yep.
of genocidal, activity.
Mhm.
Now, let me share this with
Yep.
you, Molaya. Like, for
Go ahead.
example, there's a euphemism such as the Nazis used to use this phrase, the final solution.
Yeah,
Now,
make
what
it
is the
sound
final
all good.
solution? Yeah, we say, what's the final solution? Right? To cloak the intentions, right? This is what preparation is about. What's the final solution? For them, the
Yeah.
final solution was what? Gassing and putting Jewish people into camps and gassing them and killing them and murdering them. That was their final solution. Some, what have they done? They've kicked them out. They've gone around slaughtering them. Some of them, they have marginalized them. Some of them have revoked their citizenship and kicked them out of their own countries. Look what happened in Burma. Look what happened in Burma.
Yes.
Those people who were kicked out of their own country,
Rohingya people, yeah.
Rohingya people from their own country to go live in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
At the border. This what happens. So the statement used the final solution. Then Maulana, this is where we are getting to, which is very, very difficult. And let me share with you, the people who are committing these or who are creating this environment are human beings. I want to state this. These are human beings who are creating this environment by dehumanizing, by discriminating, by creating this hate, by creating this environment of polarized in societies, etc. These are humans.
It's government policy sometimes. It's organized. Yeah.
Of course. And they get to something called persecution. This is the step before the annihilation itself.
Okay.
So the persecution, victims are identified because of their ethnicity or religion. And death lists are drawn up. Death lists are drawn up. Do you remember the letter that went around late last year about Muslims?
Killing
a Muslim. Kill a Muslim day.
For that, right? Yeah,
that's right. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Kill a Muslim day. Or these type of statements were put forward. Okay.
Actually reminds me of that film about Rwanda, where they were getting ready to kill this whole tribe. That little girl was there. They were trying to save these families. There's a few films made about Rwanda genocide, etc. So this is that stage where they start, right, we need to wipe out these people. They're actually willing and just going to now make that decision. And in that process, you see they start like said persecution. They start hurting people more. They start random killings. They start kind of denying them their basic rights of food and drink. They actually start now pushing them to the concentration camps in Nazi Germany and so forth. This is that stage of preparing for the gassing and all that.
Well, no, let me change contemporary now. Look what's happening in Israel. The removal of people's own property, which they have lived for 2, 3, 4 millennia.
Yeah.
All right. Their land has been taken away from them. This is where persecution takes place. Persecution is the stage before when you come for the human being and total annihilation. You begin the basic, like you said, scuffles here, scuffles there, big 1 murder, 4 murders, 5, like it happened in America, the lynches that were taking place.
Yes.
All right. In certain community. Look what happened in India. Look what happened in India, Molaya. All right. Because of COVID-19, they started to demonize and stop giving food and water to Muslim women, elderly Muslim women, because they would blame them they were blaming them, demonizing them to say that because of you, this is what's happening now. Billah. Right. So now, but then what also happens in persecution? The theft of property. What happens? These people feel, this is not their land.
Yeah,
they're not from here. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah, and one thing again from the Spanish example was the children were taken away from their parents. I remember reading this. That children, you can't raise your children, we'll take them. And so the actual children, Mullah, they were dressed up as Christians. They were sent to boats. Parents had to leave their children, and they were sent over to Morocco, over to North Africa, because they were taking the children off them. This is what happens. Well, children.
This is persecution. What happened? What happened we're touching on this because these horrific acts have been the actions of many nations and many people, right? Look at in America, the systematic genocide of total annihilation of the natives of America, which we call Indian because of Columbus, and they're not even Indian. They are natives of that land, whatever they are.
The natives,
whatever they, whatever their tribes are, whatever their names are, whatever they associate, affiliate and associate with, right?
Natives.
They went from millions to tens of thousands. Persecution. And you create an environment, you created an environment where you are strangling them so much that they can't educate themselves, they can't progress economically. And all your intention is what? Slowly, we're going to take their land, we're going to take the resources. That's all it is. That's what the internal is. All right? The story is very similar. Human greed. Right? And then, Maulana.
And unfortunately,
you come to extermination. Right? This is when the wholesale elimination of the group. In 1995, July 11 till 20, it was the wholesale elimination of 8,372 men and boys, Maulaya. All because they were people of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Mothers lost their sons, wives lost their husbands, sisters lost their brothers. The society lost their strength, their pillars. And this is the atrocity that took place. The extermination. It is an extermination and not a murder because the people are not considered human. Extermination. Total annihilation of human beings. Those you called your neighbors, those that they called their friends, those that they brought up with, those that they engage with. They might have a different religion. They might have a different, type of uniform or engagement. But these were generationally engaged with you. Many of them probably fought in the same wars as you. In America, one of the main arguments that's been made by our brethren in the Afro-American community, they're saying, we have fought in the same wars as you.
And
we have helped you to build this country, to a powerful country. Why are we slowly but surely being exterminated, removed, murdered, right? By the tool of the system itself. Maulaya, once we understand this, we start realizing that to get to genocide, it is a process. And finally, Maulana, and the sad thing is this, the 10th stage of genocide is denial. The one who commits the crime, the one who does the murder, the one who commits the extermination, the one who does the genocide. We didn't do it. This is not true. They get rid of the evidence. They burn the evidence, the documentation, right?
The bodies,
of the crimes. Naam. The mass graves, they just throw them into one place, cover them up in woods, in forests. And today, every single year for the last 25 years in Srebrenica, Aziz, bodies are being found. And every year they go through janaza. Every year, what you see behind me, every year that increases. Every year that increases, Maulana. Today, this year, there's 33 bodies that are going to be buried. Found again. And what this does is, like you said, it gives closure to people. Those mothers who lost their son, those wives that lost their husband, those sisters who lost their brothers. they can at least say, they can have some rest in their heart and mind. And let me share with you, same with the Jewish community, same with what happened in Rwanda, same what's happened in Japan, same what's happened in other atrocities that have taken place around the earth. The genocides of Africa. And we're not talking about, gangs of people going and murdering. Even single human beings, just for land, power, and position, the type of environment that they created of totalitarianism and dictatorship to subjugate, to murder, to annihilate, to remove people just to benefit from the land, Akal Aziz.
Yeah.
It's a reality. It's a reality. But it is a process. And then the final, I said, there's a clear denial, right? When people, you've done the wrong. You've killed people. You've murdered people. You may say, we've not done it. Our forefathers done it. Or, let me share this with you. Maulana, I get an opportunity to go into schools and, different communities, alhamdulillah. And one of the things I always highlight, and my colleagues and the company that we work with, we highlight is this. Why don't we talk about, colonialism? Why don't we talk about imperialism? Why don't we share this information with our generations, our children, right? Tell them about the transatlantic slave trade.
Slave trade, yeah.
And tell them about what was the role of Britain, the role of, Brighton and Liverpool and Manchester and all these places. And let me clear this. This is my land. I'm from this country, right? And let me tell you something. When I usually ask this question. Guess how many years Britain ruled over India? Majority of the people.
Guess, Sheikh, about 250.
Man, you're good, man. It's about 200 years. You're very good. Okay. Now, but majority of people don't know this. This is not taught. So when you say 200 years, they're like, what? We go,
200 years.
Yeah, of course they are. And then let me share something with you. People from our land, our forefathers are brought to this country, to the motherland. To the motherland. That's what Britain is. It was the motherland.
That's what it is.
It's the main hub. It was the main hub of a great empire. A massive empire. That atrocities that have taken place, you can talk about that. But the truth is, it was an empire. And these people were brought who were different complexion, maybe different religion, different faith, all right, whatever they were. All right, different, very subjugated lifestyles they probably had lived. Some were, mashallah, they had progressed, they had done their thing. But suddenly they come to this country, they're seen as the other. They are seen as scroungers. They are seen as people who are living off the system. And the truth of the matter is, even now, and let me share this, I need to share this. People have realized that a lot of key workers are from ethnic minorities. A lot of them, not all of them, a fairly high percentage. There have been doctors, there have been nurses who have died. There have been people who have worked.
I was on a webinar where actually around 300 NHS workers, doctors, nurses, people have passed away, and a third.
The Lord have mercy upon them and mercy
from the BAME community, minority communities, different ethnicities from the, and a lot of them actually came in from abroad. They actually, maybe we're just working here, actually come to support the NHS and work for the NHS and so forth.
That's right.
It was a session we celebrated the NHS, and many doctors and a rabbi and other people spoke on the day, and I was honored to join, and I mentioned a few words to recognize and celebrate the sacrifice of these people. I think it was Dr. Zaidi who was the first to pass away. He was his full name. But the first one to pass away was actually from an ethnic minority. And these people support this community. The health system relies upon these people. There's no health system the way it is today without these people from all different race backgrounds. You have Sikh doctors, Hindu doctors, Christian doctors from other countries, and Muslims, and it's all Jewish and so forth. Or people of non-faith even. It's a whole society. We are a country. We are one body. We need to work for our health services, our community services, the whole kind of economic growth of this country. Everyone's a part of it. Everyone's benefiting in some way or contributing in some way and so forth. But it always seems that the minorities or certain minorities are the scroungers, or the ones bleeding the system dry and so forth. Yes, there's acts of a few that do that. And somebody's telling me recently with the furloughing, somebody's been caught doing a half £500,000 furlough fraud doesn't represent the whatever community he's from. I don't know who he is actually. I don't know what he's, but this is the thing. People are going to do that, but we have to work together to eliminate that. We have to work as a community. And certain people don't want to do that, Sheikh. Certain people will always try and make it into a color. Because of this color.
Demonos.
Exactly. They'll want to start classifying. And the first step we mentioned, I think, was classification. Right? It starts from this first step. These first, like I said, they can overlap these steps, but we need to avoid this. And I said at the beginning of our podcast, I said we need to learn from this. We need to be proactive from this now. We need to be going forward, not fall into this trap. Educate others, speak to others, explain to others why we are harming ourselves in the current setup. We're not in a good place, Sheikh. We're in a difficult place. We need to understand how we need to eliminate that. I think one of the things that has shown us that is the Black Lives Matter campaign and movement, and it's shown us that we're not in a good place, and it's still not where it should be, and it's going to take time. It's been a long journey. So it's a long journey to get to where we are, or the problems. It's a long journey, and sabr is required, patience is required to get to the better place, get to the change. Even the Prophet ﷺ, as a lesson for us, from Mecca to Medina, back to Mecca, was not an overnight process. It was, several years of torture, of persecution, of dehumanization, of, being the second-class citizen, and then eventually finding a way to get back. Eventually, he forgave everyone. He brought them in. He made them all one. Alhamdulillah. So we need to realize that at certain levels we are all one. We are all together, and we need to
humans
celebrate.
We always say, Maulana, we always say, I always make this argument. I go, we are not different races. We are one race. Right? We are one. Yeah, we're the human race. We're one species. We call the human species.
Yeah.
Just because I have a little bit more melanin than you, right? Doesn't mean I'm a different race,
Which just means you've got a different skin tone, yeah.
That's it. That's a color. Maulaya, I want to share two very important websites.
Yeah, Bismillah, over to you. So over to you now to
I want to Allah give you barakah, Sidi. Two very important websites, inshallah ta'ala. Number one, of course, is to find out more about this atrocity that has taken place on the soil of Europe. After the European community and the world community said, never again.
Never again.
They said never again. Sadly, not only in Srebrenica, around Yugoslavia, in different places, 5,000, 3,000, 2,000, a few hundred. All right, people were murdered up and down. Genocides took place, but the one that has been recognized as an official genocide because of what had occurred within this period between the 11th of July till the 20th of July was in Srebrenica, of the murder of over 8,000 Muslim men and Muslim boys. Inshallah ta'ala, Khalaziz, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give sukoon. Naam.
Can you bring up the website for our
the website is srebrenica.org.uk.
Okay.
So srebrenica.org.uk, or put in any search engine remembering Srebrenica, inshallah, and this will come up. And I want to also share, and this has been a combined venture of Srebrenica Foundation and another particular organization. They've created a virtual tour, right? Which I want to share with our audience. Because many of us would not probably had the opportunity to go to Bosnia. Alhamdulillah, every so on, there are tours that are taking place. You get the opportunity to go and see and listen and hear the stories of those people who have lost these individuals. You get to see where the bodies were found. You get to see and read about the lives of these individuals, every single one of them, alhamdulillah, with the grace of God. It's a great project that's taking place. So I want to share that, Maulana. I want to share that with you, inshallah ta'ala. And I hope I can put this up bi'iznillahi ta'ala as best as I can, inshallah ta'ala. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala Sayyidina Muhammad. This website, I hope my brethren can see this.
Yep, it's clear.
So if you can see, so here we have Srebrenica360.com, right?
Okay.
Now, if you go to this website, inshallah ta'ala, what you will find is, 360 tour of the whole area of the memorial area, the names, all right, the central area itself, inshallah ta'ala, the whole project itself. These are all the names. All what you find is all the people and their families and who they were and what ages they were and etc. All right, who died on this particular great atrocity on on the soil of Europe, in Srebrenica, in Bosnia, my beloveds.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful, very important to do that. Alhamdulillah, you can go on, you can see different areas, different places, inshallah ta'ala. At the same time, it gives you the full panoramic, view, the full panoramic view of the whole area. What a beautiful country it is, but how sad it is
MashaAllah.
that this is what you saw behind me. This is
Yeah.
the Qabristan, as you would say,
Yeah.
Maqbara.
Mass grave. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mass
mass
cemetery.
graves of individuals who have died, young men, young boys, all right, who were murdered just for people of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. So I would love our brethren, our brothers and sisters, alhamdulillah, if physically you cannot go there, at least you get the opportunity to do this virtually.
Yeah.
This is an amazing project. This is an amazing project. Go there, look at it, read the stories, learn the stories. Because let me share something with you. The way we keep people alive is by keeping their memory alive.
That's right.
We are people who do not forget those who lived before us, right?
Yeah.
हम अपने जो हमसे पहले आए हम उनको याद रखते हैं. Why do we do that? Because today we will remember them, tomorrow someone else will remember us, inshallah ta'ala. And to remember and to learn lessons from this atrocity, which is highly important, inshallah. And Maulana, for the next few minutes, inshallah, if I have ijazah, I want to share something which I wrote myself.
MashaAllah.
And I want people to listen to this, inshallah. These are my own thoughts, my own reflections. All right. But what I've done is that I have used the format of the 10 stages of genocide. The 10 stages of genocide. And I formulated my thoughts and my reflection. In fact, I was invited to talk about on an event around Genocide Memorial Day. Right.
Okay.
So I thought to myself, how can I present something, all right, which I genuinely feel and which is inclusive, all right, which encapsulates pain, genuine worry, genuine concern, but at the same time, which gives a point of reflection as well, inshallah. So I hope, bi'isnillahi ta'ala, that what I present, inshallah, that people, my brethren and my elders will, inshallah, appreciate and listen to. Jazakallah khair. So before I do this, I would like everybody to share. Of course, I said my 10 words on the 10 stages of genocide, but there's a disclaimer that I want to share, is that some of the statements may be a little graphic. So please do forgive me. You may classify me into different cultures, religions, ethnicities, nationalities. You may call me German or Jew, Hutu or Tutsi, Armenian or Turk, Russian or Ukrainian, Nanjing Chinese or Japanese, Serbian Christian or Bosnian Muslim, American or native, white British or black British, gay or straight, British or European, us or them. But can you not see I am human? You may impose symbols to make me stand out. The yellow star, the blue triangle, the pink triangle, blood stitched onto my chest. In Cambodia, you enforced on me a blue scarf. In Bosnia, the white armband. You branded my bare flesh with hot iron to show I was your property. How dare you? Can you not see I am human? You discriminate against me. The Nuremberg laws legalized anti-Semitism. The denial of citizenship in my own country of Burma. The policies of the Boer republics created a society of white supremacy and the racial segregation of my people. You made me sit at the back of the bus in Alabama. Because of my gender, you pay me less than my male colleagues? Stop discriminating against me. Can you not see I am human? Mud people, shitskins, cockroaches, snakes, vermin, leeches, swarms, rats, parasites, letterboxes, microbes, dogs, and a race of mongrels are some of the slurs you use to dehumanize me. Can you not see I am human? You organized and trained militias, empowered state police, funded mobs, and even made my own countrymen strip me of my liberties and created a state of fear and hate. Can you not see I am human? Your statements of hate, creating a society that is becoming more and more polarized. You created a world where the Germans saw my people as the problem of the ills in their homeland, where the Hutu started to despise the Tutsis. The Serbian Christians could not bear the sight of the Bosnian Muslims. We are losing hope and trust in our governments and belief in the process of representation through political involvement and activism, where your tweets are giving strength and voice to the extremities of our communities. We are being dragged apart. Can you not see we are human? Preparations made, finance solutions put into place, mobs ready to ethnically cleanse, to purify their neighborhoods, weapons bought, plans set. They are coming for me. Hey, you Jew, Armenian, Tutsi, or any other targeted ethnicity. My people have been ghettoized, marginalized, alienated, discriminated, humanized, and segregated. Now you are preparing to finalize your horrific plan. Please, can you not see I am human? I have been forced to wear the discriminatory symbols of your choosing. My belongings destroyed or stolen, and my house has been occupied. The place I called home all my life. A great, horrific thought sets into my heart. What will happen to the honor of my daughter, my wife, my sister, my mother? What will they do to my father, my brother, my husband, and my son? What is going to happen to me? Many of my brothers and sisters have been sent to concentration camps, deported to famine-struck regions and starved. Others are being put to hard labor from which they will never come back. Some have left their country to be faced with mountains, oceans, and closed borders. What are you doing? Can you not see I am human? Throughout our history, millions of innocent lives have been destroyed, cultures eradicated, people displaced beyond recognition, and human beings exterminated. Every ethnicity, religious minority, and faith or non-faith community have a story of injustice which has befallen them. Please, I beg you, don't silence, muffle, mute, or shut me up. I am hurting. Can you not see I am human? How dare you deny what you have done? Cover up the truth. Intimidate the witnesses who are aware of your crimes. Shame! You blame the victims for what you have committed with your own blooded hands. You may try to change the narrative of history, but you cannot stop me. I am your brother. I am your sister. I am your child in humanity. don't forget me. Jazakallah khair, Ya Mawlay.
Jazakallah khair, and thank you, Shaykh Imran, for those very touching, powerful words. Dear viewers, thank you for joining us today in remembering our lost brothers in Srebrenica and in all of the atrocities that occurred in ex-Yugoslavia, the Serbian, Bosnian region. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept their martyrdom, allow us to keep making du'as for them. Thank you for joining us today. Please do get involved. Please do send us a message, send us topic suggestions for the future. But today we'll finish with a short dua with Shaykh Imran for these lost souls, inshallah ta'ala. So with this dua we'll finish as well. Over to you, Shaykh.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I would like everybody to read Surah Al-Fatiha and Surah Ikhlas 3 times, inshallah ta'ala, so we can do Isar al-Sawab to the arwah of these individuals, inshallah ta'ala. Bismillah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى أصحاب سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم عليه.
Ameen.
Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever we have recited, whatever Surah Fatiha we have done and Surah Ikhlas we have done, Ya Rabbil Alameen, accept it in your barakah, elevate it.
Ameen.
And Ya Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, we ask you first and foremost to send this as a sign of gratitude to your beloved Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. And especially, my Lord, to the arwahs of those who fell in 1995 by the hands of those hate-mongering individuals, whose lives were taken, innocent lives were taken. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, elevate them, give them status of great martyrdom, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Ameen.
Make their graves from the gardens of Jannah, Ya Rabbil Alameen.
Ameen, Ya
Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give us tawfiq that we remember them not only today, but every day of our lives. From all those who have fallen, who have been killed, who have been murdered, who have been systematically removed from this earth, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just for being other, someone who's another person. Not of the same faith, not the same ethnicity, not the same background, just because they are seen as other, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we ask you to give sabr and sukoon and closure to the families and the family members of the people who fell in 1995 between 11th of July till the 20th of July, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to every other family whose family members were murdered by nations and people unjustly, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, we ask you to give us tawfiq to learn the lessons of humanity. The lessons from these atrocities that take place, but people are not born with hate. Hate is developed into hearts and minds through a process. Ya Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, make us people of love, of compassion, of understanding, of akhuwa and brotherliness and brotherhood. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are human beings. And we are the ummatis of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wassalam. We ask you, Ya Rabbil Alameen, to the mercy of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wassalam, make our lives, give us the tawfiq that we get through these hard times, Ya Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I ask you as your humble servant to protect those who endeavor, who work hard to uphold and create voices for those who are victims, those who have no voices, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jinki zabanon mein zaban nahi hai, unko zaban jo dene wale hain, Ya Allah, unke maqam ala farma. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are the Lord of the worlds, you are the most powerful, Ya Allah. You are our mercy, you are our strength, you are our forgiver, Ya Allah tabarak wa ta'ala. We ask you for strength and ability, Ya Allah. وصلى الله تعالى على حبيبه محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين آمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.